to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, Tina Ramchandani joins me. Tina started her business in 2014, and 4 short years later, she has already established herself as an interior designer on the rise. She was recently named one of House Beautiful Magazine's 2018 Next Wave Designers, and she has been featured in publications such as Elle Decor, The Wall Street Journal, Architectural Digest, Cottage and Gardens, and others. Tina is another interior designer who started her career by training for a well-established, well-run firm. In this case, it was Vicente Wolf. I have said it many times, there is a difference when you cut your teeth at a firm like this. And as in fact, on a recent episode, which was sponsored by Century Furniture, I had the chance to speak with the principals of Carrier & Co. And each of these principals spent 10 years working for top-tier firms in New York City before they opened their firm together. This was episode 407, so if you missed it, it was a pretty good conversation. Now, Tina and I talk about this experience of hers, her takeaways from working with Vincent, and we also talk about some of the practices that she has instituted in her firm, one being her strategy for establishing monthly topics or tasks in her business so that she ensures she is paying attention to the experience she is providing to her clients when they work with her. We also take time to discuss her involvement and mine in the upcoming Designer Showhouse by the Valerie Fund. The house is called Grace's House. It's named for 10-year-old Grace, who last May in 2018 was diagnosed with a germ cell brain tumor. Her family was so grateful for the care that the Valerie Fund provided Grace that they wanted to give something back. And Grace's grandfather, Dan Rashard, is a builder, and he's the principal of ER Development. Dan, along with his partners, purchased a 7,000 square foot colonial revival home in Plainfield, New Jersey, and a show house was born. The designers are very busy now as I'm recording this, working tirelessly to get the house ready for the opening, which is going to happen on April 23rd, 2019. The designers participating in the show house include AK Design Studios, a new kitchen and bath design, B. Garcia Designs, Butter and Velvet Home Designs, California Closets, CD Interiors, The French Martini, Gail Davis Designs, Global Home Interior Design, Images in Design, Jab Design Group, JMW Interiors, Leopold Design Group, Marina V Design Studio, Mendham Interiors, Mimi and Hill, Samuel Roberts Signature Spaces, and Swati Gora Designs. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's quite a few people on that list that have been on this show. So I want to give a huge shout out to each of these designers. I know that the Valerie Fund appreciates everything they are doing. And of course, all of us, the designers, the vendors, the sponsors of the Valerie Fund, we want you to know that we appreciate you, what you are doing, the Valerie Fund, for all of our children. And speaking of appreciating someone, have you shown your podcast sponsors any love lately? You know, we have Cravat Inc. and My Doma Studio and Article.com. All of these companies, in their way, strive to help you do what you do easier, better, and at a higher standard. They want to help you deliver a better experience to your client. So when you have the opportunity, please tag them in social media when you use their products. Let them know that they're there and that you appreciate that they help me bring this show to you. Now, let me introduce you to Tina. Hi, Tina. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. Thanks for having me.
So I've been looking forward to meeting you, Tina, because right now, Kimberly at WindowWorks has had the pleasure of meeting and working with you, but I haven't yet.
I know. I met her at the Showhouse and I fell in love with her. She's amazing.
Yes, she really is, isn't she? She's like smart and she gets it, and she's got, isn't she? I don't know if you've needed it at all, but first of all, Kimberly is an interior designer. She's a degreed interior designer, and she has chosen to specialize in window treatments. Thankfully for me, she has chosen to do that. And I have no idea what's happening with your show house room, because of course Kimberly is taking care of it for us at WindowWorks. But when you need help and advice, she's amazing at it. So I don't know if you came fully formed, this is what I need, but if she's a good collaborator too, just so you know.
I had a pretty good idea of what I needed, but she was really sharp and knew the right questions to ask and the details on how to get things done and how to install things. So we really figured everything out together in the field, which I really appreciated because it saved a lot of time later on.
Right.
Figuring things out.
Right. It's funny because at WindowWorks, sometimes a designer will hear about that we do window treatment services for designers, and they'll say, I don't know why a designer would need you. And I'm like, well.
I never do my own window treatments. It's a whole different animal.
Right. And I always say, well, you know how to paint a room, but I don't remember when's the last time you picked up a brush and painted your client's room, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm really excited that we're working with you with the Valerie Fund Showhouse, and there's several designers there for the Showhouse that we're doing their window treatments and pillows.
Yes, and lots of pillows.
That's so funny. But I am looking forward to meeting you in real person when the Showhouse opens, and we'll talk a little bit about the Showhouse and your room and how you come up with it a little later today. But for right now, I want to dig into your business a little bit and talk about your career and your path there. And off the bat, what I found interesting is that you come from, in your early career, working for Vicente Wolf. And so I find, Tina, that by and by, when I meet interior designers that have had the honor of working with some of these more well-known AD100 firms, Vicente Wolf, Jeffrey Billhuber, Thomas O'Brien, whatever it is, Bunny Williams, there's just a level of caliber, both in your design and in the way you run your business, that is noticeable to me. And it could be just nuances or huge, but it's noticeable. What's your feeling, and what was your experience working for Vicente Wolf, and what did it bring to you in your firm and the way you run it today, if anything?
Well, I had an amazing experience working with Vincent. I still count him as a friend today. I still go to him for advice, and, he sometimes calls me for advice, even though he probably doesn't need very much advice on little things. But I think he's a great person, and I'm really glad that I had 5 years with him. There were so many takeaways, and it's hard to kind of pare it down because it was 5 years of my life. But the number one thing, which I think a lot of people would not have guessed, is that he helped me gain my confidence as a designer, and that in turn helped me be confident enough to run a business. I was a designer, I was a woman designer, and I don't want to knock other women, but for me, it was hard to be confident and be very decisive, especially I was younger when I worked with him. So he forced me to own my decisions. You can only come to him with a certain idea or solution if you really believe in it and you own it. You can't come to him with 3 or 4 ideas. So I had to be very clear with what I wanted to say to him. And that was amazing for me. He also helped me develop my design eye, because he is, as we all know, a design genius. And he just does things. Like, he just designs and styles and figures things out. And by watching him day after day, it helped me figure out what I wanted to say with my interiors. And it really helped me direct myself into what I wanted to portray with my work. So I thought it was an amazing experience.
Now, tell me about, you said he forced you to come with your own ideas. You had to be clear with the solution. So I understand that sentence. I do. I get it. But how did he make it known to you, and I'm sure to every designer that works from, how does he impart that? How do you ascertain, don't be wishy-washy? Is it just simply you were wishy-washy once or twice and he's like, take your stuff and get out of the office? Or like, how does that what I'm looking for, Tina, is I'm sure that there are designers that are listening that have juniors and are thinking, I want to empower my designers to have this confidence and to be able to have the conviction of their design. But how do you do it? So can you have observations on that?
Well, he did believe in me, which is why I got the job and which is why I was working for him. But let's say something went wrong, because things always go wrong. I would come to him and say, oh, we can do this, or we can do this. And he would just say, just tell me what you think the best thing to do is. So I had to own it. It was never like, get out of the office, you're giving me too many ideas. It was, what is your solution? What would you do? And so I had to start thinking that way, instead of being someone who passed things on to sort of like a boss. I had to say, this is how I think we should do it, and present it to him. And he would say, okay, I agree.
Right.
Not always. Sometimes he'd be like, okay, I don't think that's the right way to do it. But more than not, he'd always say, okay, that's a good decision. Let's do it.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. I love that. And I'm checking myself. I'm like, I wonder what the answer is. And I'm like, oh, that's what I do with Kim. Yay. I feel that, and I understand that, because it is exactly what I do with her. If there's a problem, she'll come to me and she'll do the thing. And I feel like it's like therapy. I almost always look back at her and go, well, what do you think? Right? If I'm not sitting here, you can't ask me, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? And so it sounds like that's exactly what it is. And it's true. When we are older and have more years, there are times that we'll look and say, well, there might be another way. And I think, take a look at this consequence of that. What do you think now when you think down that road? Right. But it is an element of having someone work for you that's important. And I love that it has helped you and helped you be able to see that you were able to run your own firm, because you were
amazing.
You were put in a position of making decisions. You had a safety net there with him, but you had that process of, I've made, 200 decisions and 150 have been the right one. So I must be doing something right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was always so kind about it. So it was never,
we're not afraid to
no,
fail.
No. It was always like this, in the beginning when I was new and I gave him a couple ideas, and then one day he said, you just need to pick your idea. I was like, okay, all right, I will do this,
Right.
And he was great about it.
Well, and because when you're new and you're working for somebody that maybe it's not many years down the line yet, maybe it's just a couple of months or several, you're not sure either. Do they want 3 ideas or do they want one, right? So you're also figuring out how to work in that particular boss's style as well. So exactly. I think that's awesome that you ultimately, you're like, okay, he wants me to stand on my 2 feet, and he's kind about it. So he's not going to knock you down if it's completely wrong. Love it.
Oh, never.
Right. Right. Okay. And then how about, so in your firm today, I know that you have Kate that is a designer that works for you. So do you find yourself mimicking his style and trying to empower her in the same way?
Definitely. And more. She's been working with me full time for a year now. Mm-hmm. And before that, part time for maybe 6 months before that. And as I'm getting busier, I don't have time to review several options. Mm-hmm. And Kate is just so good at what she does. So I completely trust her opinion. there might be the one or two times, like you said, where I'm like, okay, that's really good, but what if we did this?
Right.
But I like her to come to me with a solution.
Right.
You know, it saves me time. It gives her confidence and autonomy to do work on her own. I think it's a win-win for all of us.
Right, right. Now, when the tables turned for you, Tina, when you were working for Vincent and you're coming with a design suggestion or solution or a solution to a problem, and he accepts it, he says, good idea, great job, you feel terrific, right? You feel empowered.
Yes.
How was it when it was you now? So now you're empowering Kate and she's coming to you. Did you have any like, oh, okay, I have to let go and say yes here, this is what Vincent did for me? Or was it just natural for you? Did you have any moment? And I don't mean a big struggle.
It was natural because in the beginning, when we very first started working together a year and a half ago, it was hard for me to let go of things. But the second, we started working together, we really vibed and we get each other's working style. We work together every single day. So once I let go, it's easy. She tells me what she thinks she should do. I'm like, okay. And I move on with what else I'm doing.
Right.
Like I have too many other things to be micromanaging and focusing.
Mm-hmm. But there is that little moment where you do have to learn to let go. And that's what I was zeroing in on, because I'm sure we have colleagues that are struggling with that right now with their junior or senior designer, whatever they title they put on them. But there is that, can I really just say yes, right? And so you have to learn to trust. What's funny is you receive and gain confidence, but as the principal, you also have to understand and gain your own confidence that you've hired well and
Correct.
Trust that person. And it's not a walk in the park all the time. So you do have to both of you were on the ledge. That's what my point. You're on the ledge as the junior, presenting your idea, the one idea, this is the one, this is why. But the principal is on the ledge too, thinking, okay, that's what I said. I said I was going to let her do what she said.
Yeah.
So it's a mutual thing, and it's important that it's the right people with you and for you, right?
I've had other, part-time designers work for me, and I don't think it was the right fit, some more than not, but to let go, Kate was the right fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's very intelligent and design-wise, she's on the ball. So it was much easier for me to let go than it was before.
Mm-hmm. And when it was time for you to move on from Vincent's firm, it's funny because I have had 2 or 3, 4 maybe even guests that have worked for Benjamin Noriega Ortiz, and literally each of these designers have said this sentence during the interview. None of them, until they said the sentence, wasn't even aware that they were necessarily from the same firm. You know what I mean? Like coincidence is my point. But at one point, each of these have said, when I felt like it was time to go and I went into Benjamin's office and I said, I'd like to talk to you. It might be time for me to leave. Each of them said, he looked and said, finally, yes, go. I've been waiting for you to realize it too. And so he was always very gracious about you. We have grown you here, and now you're ready to fly. How was it when you worked for Vincent? How did you know it was time to leave? And it's obviously, if he's still a mentor to you today, it was a good exit. But tell us about how you knew that. Yeah.
I do a lot of things based on intuition and gut feeling, and so for a few months I was saying it's time, and we had other things in my personal life that we were trying to get in order. My husband was in business school. I was waiting for him to finish that up, so we could sort of financially be set for me to leave. But when I told them, I was nervous and terrified because that's who I am as a person. Like I get very anxious. And it was pleasant and they were happy for me. And, they weren't thrilled because they didn't want me to leave, but
Right.
They all understood. Vincent understood, Maureen understood, and they wished me well. And I gave them a very long exit because I still wasn't 100% ready to let go. So I basically stayed for another 3.5 months, before I finally left, from the time I told them to the time I left. So it was an easy transition out. You know, I was able to finish up my projects, which was really important to me. I didn't want to leave halfway through anything. I was able to hand things off to people, the little things that needed to get done. And I think it was a great way for me to leave in a softer way, you know, because you don't just leave and then one day you're out on the street. Right. It was like, you know, it was
you were building your thing on the side and preparing your business on the side as you were closing down the projects for his firm. Right.
And that's why we're still very friendly. And, you know, that's why I still love him, because I left with great memories.
Well, and I think this is another huge lesson for principal designers out there, is to understand that not every designer that comes to you is going to stay with you for 10 or 15 or 20 years, that there is a role for growing a baby designer. Somebody's got to grow a baby designer, right? And, you know, I think that there are people that will stay with a firm for 10, 15, 20, 30 years and make their career there. And thank God for those people. I believe Kimberly will be one of those people. And if she's not, if she changes her mind someday, that will be awesome and fine too. But the thing is that there are different roles as a principal, and I have sometimes had conversations with principals that have said to me, the most frustrating thing is I get 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road with a designer that I really love, really trust, really can put the projects to and know that it's going to be right. And then there's turnover. And I just feel like it's a spin. There's a way to look. You can look at it in your mind like, poor me, I invested 5 years. Or you can look at it like, I'm a person that empowers people. And I feel like I feel like that is both Vincent's firm and Benjamin, the BNO firm, is that there is just an understanding at this level that these men in their extreme talent and their extreme ability to grow baby designers, that they know that there's going to be an expiration date on this, right?
I agree. Yeah. And I mean, from my side, it was either I continue to work for Vincent forever or I start my own firm, because I didn't want to go anywhere else. Like, I was immensely happy.
You were ruined for any other firm.
I wasn't going to go anywhere else. So, you know.
Right. For you, that would have felt funny. Like, if I'm not going to be my own principal, then why would I work for someone else? Why would I leave him? Yes.
So it was a natural choice. And I think he knows that too, that it wasn't like, you know,
no, he wants to see you do well. I can hear that. Yeah. And that's this is like a discussion in disguise, but it's there's no disguise. I'm going to pull it's exactly it. It's like there's a lesson here for a principal, is my point. The lesson for the junior is to do your best work, is to stand in your space and to, really make some good, clear decisions and understand the why of those decisions before you present to your principal. But the lesson for the principal is that give your all to your junior if it's the right fit and when it's the right fit, and don't begrudge that junior when they've learned so much from you that they want to emulate what you have created.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, the turnover is hard. And I hear you're like 3.5 months. It's a long turnover. And it is. But it's like for someone like us, who we have important people that we rely on, it's like 3.5 months is like a minute. It's like,
I know. But that's why
it's way better than 2 weeks, though. Thank you.
No, I wanted to leave.
Because you never wanted to go.
Up what I was doing. I didn't want to just... Okay, thank you for the amazing years, so I wanted to do it in the right way.
Yeah, I had a admin who was so good. Her name was Ann, and she worked for me, I guess it was 7 or 8 years, and she just was moving back to her home state of Michigan. So it wasn't like, hey, I'm quitting, I'm going to go to another, business here in town or whatever. And she told us in January that she was moving at the end of May. And like, come on, that's 5 full months, right?
That's great.
Yes, and it was amazing. But the last month I was like, oh my goodness, are you really leaving? Even though we had the other person lined up and everything, there's still, when you have good people. And I understand that when a principal is upset when they've got turnover. Now, you've got turnover every year, every 18 months. You're not running a good firm, right? Or, that's not long enough to teach somebody something. But with 3, 5, 6, 7 years, and then you've got turnover, that's you've just been a great mentor and a great leader, and somebody has that drive, just like you have, right? To create their own business. So, okay. And how about from the standpoint of project management and things like that? Did you take away systems from the way their firm is run that you're like, these are definites in my firm? Are there things in anything in your firm, Tina, that you really feel like that you could share is if you do one thing in your process, do this or something like that?
Wow,
it's a big question. I have to make it smaller.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I definitely, started my business using the Vincent Wolf systems because that's all I knew. But it's been about 5 years, so I've tweaked them and changed them to work with how I work because Vincent is a larger firm. So
right.
I could not do everything the way that he did it, but I started doing like my estimate binder the same way that Vincent did his estimate binder. And over time, I've now changed that into like a combination of estimate and purchase order binder. Or, I think as you grow and as you really do it for yourself, you realize what's working and what's not. And I also evaluate these things on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis to see what needs to change. And we do that. Kate and I sit down at the beginning of every year and we're like, what's not working? What do we need to change? And we try to have monthly goals of things to do. Sometimes we hit those monthly goals and sometimes it's too busy and we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I did take some of the things from Vincent and sort of adapt them. And then there's a lot I've learned on the way because I didn't know how to run a business, like listening to podcasts like yours, having a business coach, just having outside help has helped me figure out how to run a business.
Okay. I love it. So there's a couple of things in here that I want to take apart. So I love that you have, look, I think yearly meetings to sit down with yourself, if you're the principal, and a guided, trusted mentor or business coach is a non-negotiable. I also like the separate and the other meeting with the people that work for you, also a non-negotiable in my mind. I love the monthly ones. So when you say that you are setting monthly goals with Kate, and I get it. You don't reach them all. Look, we're all human beings. Mm-hmm. But the very act of discussing them and setting them puts more onus on them being reached and achieved as opposed to just not even being on the table, right? So what are we talking about with monthly goals? It doesn't sound like you're talking about revenue goals. It sounds like you're talking about operations goals, right?
These are all internal goals.
Right. So tell us some of the things that you are talking about monthly with Kate.
Well, we have a weekly meeting every Monday just for ourselves, for our projects. Not internal, but this is where we are because we're both in and out of the office, on job sites, connecting via text and email. So Mondays we take an hour, we sit down, we go through everything that's been happening, what I need to do, what she needs to do, where she's stuck, because she's also overwhelmed. Everything that I can't do, she's doing. And she can't do all
Kimberly
of it.
knows that feeling.
Yeah. And so we also have like a virtual admin. So I take some of Kate's stuff off of her plate and give it to my admin. Anything small that can be done because it's a waste of her time to be doing it if she can be focusing on bigger things. So we have a weekly meeting. Then in the beginning of every month, we talk about our monthly goals. We've set that in the beginning of the year during our kickoff. We have a yearly kickoff meeting. We've set monthly goals for the entire year. So let's say it was the beginning of March. We talked about this is our March task. Let's see if we have time to do it this month. And this is what we should be doing.
But wait, we're mounting a show house for the Valerie Fund, so I'm not sure.
But we do break the monthly goal into weekly tasks in order to try and achieve it. So we are behind. I'm going to be super honest, but we do know what it is that we need to do, So we have 2.5 weeks left for March. We're going to see how much we can get done.
Now, give me an example. It doesn't have to be March, but give me an example of some of the types of goals that you have set for individual months, just so we have a grasp and people have an idea of the types of things that you should be addressing in your business.
Like, March was vendor review. There are some vendors we've been working with for years and we're very happy. There's some vendors we've been trying out and we're not so thrilled with the service or attention or, deficiencies. So we're going to sit down and review it and then make a list and then talk to those vendors about what we want them to change.
Awesome.
So that's one.
I love that. I love that. That's it's such a cool thing to address, because I know for a fact that Window Works, if I get 3 steps removed for 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, all of a sudden at our weekly Monday morning meetings, I should say, I will legitimately, this just happened 2 Mondays ago, where during the meeting, the whole team is talking and they're like, this is like the 4th time that this vendor has done this. And I'm just like, wait, what? I'm like, is it time for a LuAnn phone call to this vendor? Like, where are we at, right? And so what you're saying is that your March goal is you're going to look at all of them, the ones that are performing well, the ones that are consistently delivering with breakage, or maybe their customer service turnaround is not good. And before you just cut them loose, you're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think it's because, we're a smaller firm than you. So we're just on the go constantly, and we don't have time to stop and think about these things. None of us do.
I agree.
But months go by and, things are constantly coming in incorrect, broken. They need to go back. And I don't want my clients to think that we are doing something wrong. It's not technically our fault, but we're the one providing the service.
Right.
So it makes us look bad. So before we cut them loose, we're going to have a conversation, like, with something going on in your life, because these are, people
human beings,
small businesses, and sometimes it is something just going on in their lives. Like, let's get a hold of this. Let's try it again.
Right.
And then we'll see where we are. So that's an example of our March goals. But we also have, I can't remember which month this is, but we also have like system goals. Like, let's create a system for all of our purchase orders, because Kate's been doing it my way, but I never really taught her exactly my way because we had to just jump into it.
Right.
So we're going to sit down and go through it together and, write it down, because when the next person comes, this way Kate can just hand it off to the next person and we're good to go.
Duplicatable processes.
Exactly. So there's many things. I mean, you can see how different they are from the vendor review to the systems, but there's many things in between.
I love it, Tina. That is so smart on your part. It's building in even moments, if not a few hours every month, to address the operations of the business. And it's so important to do that. And I agree with you. I think it's even more important when you are a small team and you have big projects. I mean, you are a firm that has been featured in Elle Decor and Arc Digest and Lonnie and Cottage and Gardens. This is not a firm that's flying under the radar here. You are, one little lady with one little lady helping you, and you're getting some things done.
Thank you. We are.
Yes, you are. And so, but with that comes pressure, right? You've got eyeballs on you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to look at it that way, because there's always eyeballs on you, but it's internal pressure. I'm driven.
Yes.
And I want to get somewhere, and we're doing great. And I'm thankful for everything that we have. But in order to move forward, we have to get our things in order and make sure that everything's running smoothly.
I love it. I think it's awesome. Good for you. Really excellent. And I just think it's terrific. So tell me, let's talk a little bit about the Valerie Fund, right?
Okay.
So here we have the Valerie Fund is a nonprofit organization here. It's based in New Jersey. I don't know. Do you know? I don't even know if it's national.
I don't know either.
We just love it.
I thought it was just in New Jersey.
I think it might be. I think it might be. But I'm familiar with the Valerie Fund 2 ways. First, a good friend and client of mine, Tina Kaplan. Her and her husband have been clients of mine for many years. She has worked for the Valerie Fund for many years, so I've always been aware. And then my niece Juliet, was diagnosed with childhood leukemia.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, but it's a happy ending story. So Juliet was diagnosed. It's about 3.5 years ago at this point, and it's interesting because they told it's my great niece. So they told my niece and nephew what the diagnosis was, and they said, this will be a 2.5-year process. That's what this process will be. And there will be many trying moments, many moments where your heart will break for your little baby girl here. And Juliet was, I think, 3.5 when she was diagnosed, maybe 4.
That's horrible.
4.5. Oh, you know what? I'm mistaken. She was 5 because she was in kindergarten. She had just started kindergarten. And, but they said, if as you go through the treatment plan every milestone, if she meets it, will always be a good indicator that she will ultimately at the 2.5-year mark be cured. And thankfully, Juliet met every milestone along the way.
Good.
She really did. And it really was. My niece Gina and my nephew Anthony are remarkable parents, and they did a fabulous job of not only caring for her, but their son Theo, who, he's a little guy. He's 1.5, 2 years younger, and, he doesn't know what's going on. And of course, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, the grandparents, were just, 24/7 helping
for everyone.
Yes, it is. And so, but their experience with the Valerie Fund was outstanding. And so for me and my husband, Vin, it's like, yes, we want to help. We want to be there. We want to support this organization. We want other families to have the experience and hopefully the outcome that our family did, right? And so here we are together. We're helping them put this show house on, and it's called Grace's House. And it's going to open on April 25th. This is 2019. It will run through May 19th. It will be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every weekend. There are tons of special events that are happening in conjunction with the show house. So, for example, on the Saturday of Mother's Day weekend, they've organized a beautiful brunch at the country club nearby, and your ticket price gets you the brunch as well as the entrance to the show house. And there's a shuttle that will go back and forth. So it's an outstanding day to spend with your mother, if you're the mother, whatever, and just have this day at the house and have this nice brunch. And then, so Tina, you're doing a room one of the big rooms. You've got some nice real estate there, right? And so your room is, when you come to the show house, guys, you're going to go up the stairs and turn to the right front corner. And this is Tina's room. So tell us, Tina, about the room, about your vision for the room, and what you've got going on there.
Well, it was a bedroom originally, but I didn't want to design it as a bedroom. It's a big space.
It's huge.
It's huge. So when I walked in, I was like, this is a space for entertaining. This is a space for friends and family to gather, to have a cocktail, to have a laugh. So I really just wanted to make it an entertaining space. I called it the parlor, but I see it as 2.5 spaces. I see it as one overall space, but also a his and hers parlor. So I'm designing it with one side of the room a little bit more masculine and the other side of the room a little bit more feminine. And it's separated in the middle by a custom daybed by Atra, which is a little bit masculine, a little bit feminine, because it has a curved wooden base and a fully upholstered seat and a pillow in a different fabric. So I think it'll be really interesting because when you sit on the daybed and look one way, you get a feminine room. You look the other way, you get a whole different view. But when you're stepping into the room, it looks cohesive and it looks like one room.
That I want to see. That's a challenge. I can't even imagine it. So are you saying to us that the differences between the two sides of the room are subtle in that a trained eye like yourself or some of the designers who will visit will pick it up and somebody else might just not notice it? Or is it more overt than that, but somehow you've managed to make it seem, make it be?
It's a little more overt because the feminine side has like colors like blushes. The masculine side has colors like greens. And the room itself is painted in a Benjamin Moore Century paint, which is their soft touch paint that's made in small batches, in a seraphinite color, which is emerald, essentially. So it's a very colorful room, and only the furniture styles and colors differentiates the masculine and feminine.
Wow. I am really looking forward to seeing how you pull this off. That's going to be amazing.
Thanks.
And first of all, you mentioned Benjamin Moore. How about Benjamin Moore? Awesome sponsor, donated the paint for the entire house, right?
Yeah, Amazing.
Right. I mean,
and they're so easy to work with.
Yes, I love it. And Diana Rattazzi is the Benjamin Moore rep here in New Jersey. And oh my goodness, if you're an interior designer in New Jersey and you have not called and had Diana Rattazzi come out to see you yet, you need to do that, because she is, I don't know that I've ever, I mean, she's one of the top 5 people in my mind in 30 plus years in this industry that I would really connotate as a extremely hardworking rep who always has her designers back. I mean, that's a big statement, but I believe it to be true.
She's amazing. I mean, every time we've been, we had questions about color because Century is sort of new. She answered our questions quickly and with a lot of information. We're trying to do our molding in a bronze color, so she's been helping us with that. Do we do a glaze? Do we do a paint? She's just so knowledgeable. She's been amazing.
And and responsive. Like she's not a phone it in type of a girl. No. Like, hey, I'm your paint rep, get over it. You know what I mean? She's all in. And I have known her, oh my goodness, it's more than 15 years, and she has never ever not been an all in how can I help you personality ever. It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's funny because I called Benjamin Moore. I called Diana to ask them if they would be a part of the show house. And it wasn't this, 15 conversations. First phone call, we're in. You know what? Who do I talk to at the show house?
So nice.
I'm like, whoa, okay. So, yeah, they're really, I really have to give a big shout out to the company and, of course, in particular to Diana. So, okay. So, What has it been like? Is this your first show house, Tina, doing a show house? Have you done them before?
I've done them before. This is my 3rd show house. Okay. And I've also done tabletop events, which I consider mini show houses because it's one night and done.
Right.
So this is not my first show house. So I knew what to expect. I knew that there's so many moving parts. You secure one item and then all of a sudden another one is out of stock. So
everything's based on that, and now I can't do that.
We thought we had rugs secured, and then there was a hiccup, but now we have these gorgeous rugs from Stark. One more masculine, one more feminine. It was perfect. Things happen for a reason. So it's a fun and stressful experience.
It is. I mean, you have to have, I think, a little personality for that because, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts, and there isn't a lot of time to do either thing. You can't spend a lot of time debating in your mind a direction, and you cannot spend 1 minute worrying about the thing that you planned everything around that's no longer available. You just have to say, okay, move on. Right?
I'm a quick decision maker, so that is very helpful.
That's good.
And I'm also maybe overly positive and enthusiastic. So if something doesn't work, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Right.
Right.
No, so, it is. I believe that there's a show house personality, a show.
Yes.
Because we have at Window Works, fortunately, been a part of many show houses over the years through our interior designer clients, right? And there are some that roll with it, and some that get mucked and mired into it, and you're just want to look at them and go, sweetie, got to get up, keep moving, make another plan. We don't have time for this.
You can't dwell on things.
No.
You need to be reactive.
Yes, and it's hard, and I have compassion for that because you have a vision, you have a direction, and if a major piece is not going to be available, and it's particularly if it's a style piece, a differentiator, or a color piece, it's a ripple effect, right?
Oh, I mean, it's stressful. You just have to learn to you can have a minute and get sad over it.
Yes.
You need to move on very fast.
But that's in the car between your house and the next place or your studio. They're like, that's your minute. Lock it up.
Or at the end of the day, have a glass of wine and cry about it. Right.
And I have to say, I also value and appreciate the interior designer in a show house that understands installation day may not go smoothly. And we are there going to be running to Home Depot. I always say it's like the Oscars. You don't want to look at J-Lo's dress underneath of it, where all the tape is and the pins. Just look at the pretty thing. She looks gorgeous, right?
Yes,
it's the drape looks gorgeous. Don't look back there.
Correct. I completely agree with that.
We're just getting through the month here, folks.
Yeah.
You know? So, okay. And of course, the staff at the Valerie Fund, right? You've got Dan, first of all, who's the owner and the GC of the house. He's amazing, right?
Amazing.
Isn't he so kind and
I
so...
feel like I'm sending him 1,000 text messages a day and he's going to kill me.
And
but
that's
he
just
hasn't
you,
killed me
Tina.
yet.
That's just you.
I know. There's like every designer is sending him so many text messages a day.
I know. And then you have Barbara and Bunny and Tina Kaplan. You know, this is an amazing organization, and they really are. And this is, you know, this is a big deal, putting a show house on. And of course, everybody on the committee has been so helpful as well. It's been amazing process. And I'm really looking forward to the opening of the house and being there. And so we have got a couple of events coming up there. You are going to be doing an event on May 15th with a women's group. Tell us a little bit about the group, and tell us a little bit about your experience with this group and what we can expect.
So this is an event with Lady Drinks. They are a women's networking group focused on South Asian women, but all women are welcome, and men if they want to be, because we just had an event where a man came. But it's really about women supporting each other. It's a really warm and comfortable group where you can be honest and share your issues and get great feedback and make amazing connections. So I spoke at one of these events for this group a couple months ago. I want to say it was like November. And I was blown away by the love and support that I got for that group. At that event, I was speaking about investing in yourself and self-care in order to make yourself move forward in your business and in your personal life. This event, we may be talking about the design, we may be talking about the charity, but we're going to have a walkthrough of the house, some drinks, and then a sit-down talk. And it's on May 15th in the evening. And I can send you that link, LuAnn, so you can put it in the show notes.
Yes, I definitely will. And so I love that. And then, you know, it's just a nice way to get together in a beautiful home, in a beautiful environment, to contribute to the Valerie Fund, you know, meet new people, meet new friends, and maybe get yourself another little tribe of people that can help you in your journey and help you feel like an empowered entrepreneur, right?
Exactly.
Yes. And then I am actually having a book signing of my new book there. Yes. We're going to do that on April 30th at 6 p.m. at the Showhouse. And this will be the new book that's launching March 30th. We're talking 2019 if you're listening to this in the future. And we're going to have a book signing there and a little cocktail party and stuff. So please definitely come out for that. We will also put links to that in the show notes. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing what everybody is creating at this house. And did you see Grace on the State of the Union?
I did.
Oh my God.
And
Isn't
I just
she
got
so
my
sweet?
Design NJ too, which is a whole dedicated issue to her. So I'm really excited about that.
That's it. That's another huge sponsor of the Valerie Fund, a huge supporter of the Valerie Fund has been the magazine here, the regional shelter magazine called Design New Jersey right here. And they did do a big expo piece on this.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, Grace and her mother were invited to the White House, and they were invited to be there for the State of the Union address at the Capitol, and she was introduced to the entire nation. How cool was that?
She was amazing.
Oh my
God, that
goodness.
was really cool.
You know, and when you were watching it, knowing, you know, Dan and knowing Bunny and knowing Barbara and Tina and knowing all of our colleagues on the Showhouse, didn't you feel like even though you were sitting in your own living room that you were sitting together with everybody watching it?
I did. And it makes it more special because you know her and everything she's been through, and you know all of these people that are coming together to, you know, create a fund or a show house in her name. It was a really cool thing.
Yeah. It was like a Goosebumps type of a moment.
Yeah.
And she's a sweetie, this kid. She's an absolute sweetie. And she will be around for many of the events during the course of the show house. You know, she will be there for it. So lots of amazing things planned. And I cannot wish you any more luck and goodwill and good business on you, sweetie, because you're doing a good job. Your portfolio is amazing. You're a smart lady. You get a hashtag smart lady.
Thanks.
I feel like I know you through the conversation with Kimberly and her good impressions of you and the emails that I see between the two of you going back and forth. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in real life.
I'm excited to meet you too.
I really love Tina's monthly theme tasks, okay? One month she said she works on her systems. Another month she's evaluating vendors. But the thing of it, the key things is that she sets it up at the beginning of the year, right? This is a terrific version of time blocking. You have your daily time blocking activities, Monday staff meetings, Tuesday check on your trades, Wednesday check invoices for accuracy, whatever your time blocking days are. But this is setting aside time each month for a bigger action. And it's funny because by coincidence, I wrote this as a suggestion in a column that I wrote for the Window Fashion Vision magazine back in the winter of 2018, so a year and a half ago. And what I did was as in the magazine, I'm writing on a combination of business tips and also expertise tips as far as growing your expertise in the window treatment realm. And I suggested that you really intentionally increase your product knowledge by deciding at the beginning of the year what topic you will tackle each month. Okay, so for instance, say January was motorization, February might be drapery rods, March might be all woven wood brands from Horizon and Hunter Douglas all the way to Conrad and Grace Ritchie. So it's a version of that. And I just think that it's really, really smart on her part as a fairly young businesswoman. I mean, 4 years in business, and here she is out of the gate intentionally doing something that she doesn't let the business of being in business run away from her, right? She's setting up a device that makes her think about the areas of her business that need attention, and she has set up accountability for herself to follow through, okay? So I'm wondering if you've done that, right? Have you done that? Have you sat down and thought about what are the big goals in the business? What are the things that you can do that you can work on in an intentional way and make yourself accountable to yourself, okay? So, because here's the thing, the year's going to pass one way or another. And I don't want you to do this. Oh, well, it's already April of 2019, so I may as well wait. No. See, there is a lot of months this year. You can have that conversation with yourself right now and set it out for April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Just think of all the things you could get done. You got to do it, though, right? Okay. So here's the thing. That's my show for today. If you have signed up for LuAnn Nigara Live, it's about the conversation. I'm going to see your eyeballs in 4 days. 4 days. That's when I'm going to see them. I cannot wait. At the time of this recording, we have over 150 interior designers coming. And at the time of this recording, we do have some tickets left. So I have no idea if by the time this records, so if you go to my website and the box is closed, I'm sorry. But if you go there and it'll let you check out a ticket, I suggest that you do exactly that because you're going to want to meet everybody there. How about you wanting to connect with the sponsors that are going to be there? Make relationships with these brands. We always talk about how this is how it's done. It's being in a place where you get to make a personal connection. And here are the sponsors that are going to be on hand for you to make that personal connection. We have Schwartz Showroom, East End Interiors, Exciting Windows, the WCAA, Wingnut Social, Comfortex, Cravat, My Doma Studio, Merrill Landis Drapery Room, Traveling Textiles, Designer Inc., Ashley Uhl Consulting, and Pollock Weitzner. I mean, I'm sorry. Please don't hesitate, all right? If you decide to come, you will not be sorry. I'm just telling you. Because on top of being able to network and meet these sponsors, think about the weekend with the designer panelists, okay? Sandra Funk, Corey Damon Jenkins, Rachel Cannon, Corey Klassen, Judith Neary, Candy Scott, Dala Afawaris, Courtney McLeod, Kate O'Hara, Keisha Franklin, Paula Grace, and Taylor Spellman. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Isn't that insane? And then add that to the list. Add to that list the list of my co-authors, the Power Talk Friday experts. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. And when I say come spend the weekend with us, you know that's exactly what I mean. I'm telling you, we are spending the weekend together. This is all access. This is walking, talking, hanging out, eating, in panels. The panels are going to be insane. 12 panels. Think about your mind exploding on that. And I have to say, I've been scaring the daylights out of you, telling you there's no breaks whatsoever. There's actually a break on Sunday, late afternoon. So I've had some designers that are introverts say to me and report back through different channels that as an introvert, you're a little afraid of not having the downtime. And so I want you to know, look, I'm running this hard line and I'm running this like we're going to work. And we are. But of course, there is an opportunity for you to rest and relax. It's just not your typical, hey, let's work for 3 hours and rest for 7. No, it's the other way around. Okay. All right. So I really do hope that you'll be there. I hope that you will be with us in real time, talking, learning, growing. All right. That's the thing. And I'd love to meet you in person. If you are inclined, go to LuAnnLive.com and see if there's some tickets left. All right. And I'm just going to say, wouldn't that be the very best way on the whole wide planet to decide to be excellent today? Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.